Sayaka, a schoolgirl, gets invited by her crush to visit his new apartment, which he rented for a very low price, being able to afford it as a student. As she visits the apartment without any sign of her friend, she experiences paranormal activities, resulting to her becoming worried for her friend's well-being. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator. You need to help me. It's not the real me. You need to watch the other videos I managed to sneak through RX, inform others, and help me break free. Wow, that was strange. And just to reiterate, don't mind the last video. This was probably just a malfunction with the camera. Let me just fix that up. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator. You can follow me on Twitter where you can communicate with me and send me game suggestions. This video will have spoilers ahead. With that in mind, let's begin. The female protagonist gets invited to a friend's apartment, which she visits, witnessing what a modern and expensive-looking property it is, despite the cheap rent. The apartment is unexpectedly empty, but the protagonist finds her way through using a spare key close to the door. In the apartment, she stumbles upon a notebook which has been torn with 7 pages missing. After finding the first page in a strange hole on the wall, it mentions how the protagonist's friend found the rent surprisingly low, which he could afford as a student. The second torn paper, which the protagonist finds in a filled-up bathtub, entails how the previous tenant left all of the furniture behind, as if they were in a rush to get out, with the landlord thanking the protagonist's friend in an unusual manner that he rented the apartment, as if it's been empty for a very long time. The protagonist then leaves the apartment and explores around, where she comes across the building's mailroom. Through the window, she witnesses an old man facing the wall in the corner, standing motionless in an extremely bizarre way. The protagonist tries to attract the old man's attention, but he doesn't respond. As she opens the door, the old man disappears, making the protagonist extremely worried. In there, a memo written by someone who seems to be the apartment's owner reads out that the apartment seems to be cursed or possesses paranormal powers. The owner seemingly tried to destroy it any way possible by calling demolish specialists and set it on fire, but each time he was unsuccessful as strange things seemed to happen as the result of his failed attempts. The telephone would malfunction, his mother would fall ill, and he would get strange and twisted visions. The memo reveals a dark secret that the owner seemingly sees visions of the property requiring human sacrifices, whom become possessed within a week and subsequently disappear from the face of the earth, with everyone who knew them completely forgetting they ever existed. The owner plans to feed a new human frequently to the apartment in order to keep his family safe. After finding the third torn paper in the room, the protagonist experiences some more paranormal events and reads out how his friend heard some old ladies talk badly about his apartment. However, he dismissed them as general gossipers. The fourth journal paper mentions how the friend tries to interact with his neighbor and be friendly, but all he got instead was blank stares and cold shoulders, with the neighbor shutting their door on him. He further explains that he met a girl called Mira and how he's interested in her. The fifth paper, dated 8th of April, 4 days after his move, the friend explains how his mother came to his apartment after she had a fight with his dad. It's then that the friend decides to invite the protagonist, Sayaka, to his apartment. The next paper explains how the friend's mother left without any notice when he woke up, which was out of character for her. Even stranger is that she didn't take her car, leaving it at the apartment's parking. The friend then ends the sixth journal by mentioning that he invited Sayaka already, who will visit the day after, something the friend hopes to make her happy again, suggesting that she's been unhappy for some reason. Finding the seventh and the last paper yet again in a strange place, inside the locked and leftover car of the friend's mother, it simply reads that there's no escape, with the rest of the paper missing. Concerned that something sinister might have happened to her friend, Sayaka decides to leave the apartment in a rush and go home, not to fall victim to whatever paranormal being is possessing this apartment. Unfortunately for Sayaka, it's already too late. As she tries to open the door, she notices that it's been jammed shut, being completely trapped inside. Looking through the peephole, she witnesses in horror ghostly figures of her friend, his mother, and herself. As she slowly walks back in fear, she feels a strange presence behind her. As she turns, she watches the possessed souls of her friend and his mother standing behind her in an uncharacteristic manner. This leads to Sayaka joining the possessed souls and becoming another victim of this mysterious apartment. If Sayaka prays at an altar early in her journey, after reading the 7th piece of paper, the door to the apartment stays open, letting her escape. Sayaka explains how terrified she felt experiencing all the paranormal events, alongside the concerning journal entries from her friend. She felt as if someone was constantly watching her from behind, but no matter how many times she turned around, she never saw anyone. Correspondingly to the strange apartment memo Sayaka found in the mailroom, as she goes to school next day, she observes in confusion that her friend was absent, with a seat occupied by someone else, with no one seeming to ever know of such a person existing. Unsure to what she's experiencing, she visits the apartment right after school, learning that it's been sold for a very long time. She then tries to make sense of it all, to what happened to the boy she loved, when suddenly she forgets his name, followed by her completely forgetting what she's even doing at the apartment complex, finding it difficult to remember what she even was thinking about. Sayaka seems to have been in love with the unlucky boy who rented this cursed, haunted apartment. The boy didn't seem to share the same feelings, as he wanted to have a relationship with Mira, a girl he met not long ago. This seems to have caused Sayaka sadness, making her unhappy as mentioned in one of the boy's journals. Sayaka seemingly hid her feelings, as the boy doesn't seem to have known about it. The apartment is thought to be haunted or cursed, requiring human souls to possess. The property owner serves the property in fear of his family getting hurt by whatever is haunting the apartment. The people who rent out this property vanish within a week, with any trace of them being wiped clean, with no one ever remembering them. An unaware Sayaka, getting invited by her friend to visit his newly rented mesmerizing apartment, comes to an empty apartment, which could potentially possess her soul as well. If Sayaka prays at an altar in the beginning, the god save her soul from getting possessed by whatever demonic entity dwelling within the apartment, which is waiting for its next victims. The story is heavily inspired by a real superstition in Japan, who deemed the properties where someone died within to be haunted. They call these dwellings the stigmatized properties, which have a much lower rent rate compared to other properties. These properties tend to go years without being rented out, especially as by law, the estate agents must inform the potential tenants if the previous tenants passed away within the property. If you enjoyed this video, you can watch more by clicking on the cards on the screen. You can also stay tuned for the latest videos by clicking on the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host Star, and as always, have a fantastic day.